Peter J. Robichaud, and I'm a professional artist. I brought in Naval Lieutenant Barry Troy's flying safety gear as part of the Shearwater Aviation Museum's collection.
The Royal Canadian Naval Air Service stemmed from the 1915 formation of Britain's Royal Naval Air Service, which counted over 900 Canadians among its first members. Recognising its value, Canada raised its first naval aviation branch in September 1918, though it was disbanded only 3 months later with the signing of the armistice. During World War II, the RCNAS was resurrected in a small capacity as airplane escorts for the carriers HMS Nabob and HMS Puncher, serving in the role as enemy submarine deterrents. In 1945, it officially became the Royal Canadian Naval Air Branch and was appointed a sea base at Dartmouth's HMCS Shearwater. Though short-lived, the RCNAS and later the RCNAB marked the beginnings of a military shift towards naval aviation, which is today unified under Canada's armed forces.
I'd like to welcome Peter J. Robichaud to Militaria, and we've got some more items from the Shearwater Aviation Museum. And this collection tells a very personal story and one of sacrifice on being part of the military. And it's a very complete collection we've got here today.
So here we have some items today from Lieutenant Navy Troy, and he was a Banshee pilot with VF, that's Fighter Squadron 871, which flew off the aircraft carrier Bonaventure. And these items were found several decades after his incident, which he crashed in 1958. These items were found in a sand dune in Florida in 2017 with the obvious name written on the survival gear, and it was repatriated back to its home station, original home station where he was based, at CFB Shearwater here in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia.
So we've got a diverse selection of items. We've got some pieces. What exactly are we looking at here?
Well, here we have, as part of the standard issued equipment, an oxygen bottle, which would be located approximately here on the aviator's survival gear. And as well, we have the belt that's also as well part of the survival gear, which also has his name written on it. And this is how it was discovered that it was actually this aviator's equipment and sent back. And here we have a component, we're not too sure exactly which, from the Banshee fighter itself. It's aluminum, it's very light, aircraft metal. Not sure which part it would come from, but it's definitely part of the crash.
So part of the process, we've got the artifacts from Lieutenant Barry Troy. What do we know about him?
Lieutenant Troy was from Fighter Squadron 871, which flew off the aircraft carrier Bonaventure from the Royal Canadian Navy. And he was from Chatham, New Brunswick, which is coincidentally my hometown as well, the town of my birth. In terms of how the incident happened, there was apparently some mechanical issues, and his aircraft malfunctioned and he crashed into the sea.
So the sand dunes reappear, the remnants, in 2017, I think, after a hurricane had come through there and basically exposed it. And a park ranger had actually found a couple items and looked a bit more and then found some more. So it's kind of all of a sudden, they notified, I understand they notified the RCF, and it came through RCF History and Heritage. And I think representative from Shearwater went down and they repatriated the items back and brought them back, as we see today. The aircraft that Lieutenant Troy was flying was the McDonnell Douglas F2H3 Banshee. And the Banshee was one of the US Navy's early operational jets that they were flying off aircraft carriers. And it was actually Canada's first jet aircraft it flew off a carrier.
That's right. The Banshee was quite successfully employed by the American Navy in the Korean War. And not too long after that, the Royal Canadian Navy decided to purchase a number of them. And we had two operational squadrons, VF-870 and VF-871, which both flew off aircraft carriers. And it was Canada's first jet-powered aircraft carrier-based aircraft.
And the aircraft was used as a fighter. That's principally what it was designed for.
Right. It was equipped for carrier defense with the AM-9 Sidewinder, which was the first air-to-air heat-seeking missile that the Canadian military purchased, and indeed one of the world's first air-to-air heat-seeking missiles.
The air group on the HMCS Bonaventure, of course, what we're talking about, would be deployed around the world throughout this time, and obviously at this point, they'd ended up in Florida because, again, a lot of workups were done with the U.S. Navy at that point.
Yeah, most certainly. And again, with the inherent dangers of flying these aircraft, you can see that accidents do happen, and this was the end result of one of those tragic incidences. Pretty amazing find after so many decades to actually discover some connection to this individual right back here to Shearwater, and here we are with the items. Incredible.
And of course, Lieutenant Troy has been posted as missing since then.
Yes, he has, yeah.
So at least it provided some semblance of order for the family that still remains. And I think he had some siblings that are still alive, and I think they were part of the repatriation process.
Most certainly, the all-important closure for a family member who has lost a loved one. But unfortunately, this is the closest we'll ever get to, well, perhaps ever get to finding Mr. Troy. But at least there is something for his family to keep as a memento, and for the rest of the community to see and view and appreciate.
So what's next for these artifacts? Obviously, they represent a significant part of Royal Canadian Navy aviation. What's the plan for it?
Well, these items have been on display at the Shearwater Aviation Museum, and they are intended to go back on display for everyone to see. As you can see, this item is rather heavily barnacle and clam shell encrusted, and it's not going to be removed. It has a bit of provenance of where it was found and how it was found, and we'd like to keep it in that sort of condition. Other items of cloth we can maintain as best as we possibly can, but they're eventually going to deteriorate as well. So as best as we can maintain these items, we can, and they're going to be on display.
Well, again, I'd like to thank Peter J. Robichaud for providing these items today from the Shearwater Aviation Museum. And I think they're a very stark reminder, and I think it's been very an honor to bring these items particularly out because, again, what they represent. And I guess it's Barry Troy's legacy, and even after all this time, his artifacts being found, and also us being able to tell that story to a wider audience.
Most certainly, Mark. Thanks for having me. And again, if you'd like to see more items like this, come down to the Shearwater Aviation Museum.
Lieutenant Barry Troy's artifacts represent a lost soldier being found. And I think the biggest takeaway for anyone today is the sacrifice that members of the Canadian military have made over the years. But it's a very stark reminder from 1958, all of a sudden reappears in the sand. It provides closure for the family, identifying, at least they know exactly where he went down. And also it provides a tangible link to Canada's Royal Canadian Navy's operational role, and also the dangers of flying these particular jet aircraft at that point.